Hi, and welcome to another edition of What's the Story here on the People Chronicles. Thanks so much for joining us, and you're going to love this story. I was captivated when I heard it, and it was kind of by happenstance. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the Rudden Family Foundation. I did, and I thought I knew what it was all about, but I didn't have it quite right. So please meet Joe Rudden. Thanks for coming in, Joe.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. I met you about 3 years ago.
Correct.
And it was at Mary's Shelter. And I knew from that experience that they were singing your praises, Joe, because you were so helpful moving furniture and helping young mothers and children getting situated if they needed a sofa, a bed. You were right there, and
Right.
You were making that happen. So I'm thinking, oh, he gets things to people, but then it's the Family Foundation. And I wasn't quite sure, but I had an occasion to call you and see if you could help with something else. And you told me at that point, your foundation is relatively new. You're 50c3 when?
In 2012.
2012, so that's only
5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
Did it go quick?
It does, very much so.
But prior to 2012, you took me back. You said, here's what happened to 2011 Christmas.
Correct.
Tell me about that Christmas.
I grew up in a suburban, white middle-class neighborhood. My kids have all been educated and are gainfully employed and off the payroll. And I'm trying to think of a Christmas gift that I could give them that's meaningful, that's impactful. And I kind of thought that they didn't have much understanding or experience with people other than the ones that we grew up around. So I thought I'd try and educate them a little bit about how so many other people live in this world. I contacted, actually, Family Promise.
Oh.
And Gwen Didden was able to get me 6 families that I met individually. I met with each family and I asked them if they would kindly write me a letter describing their life, describing their day-to-day challenges. What do they deal with on an ongoing basis? And that letter is what I wanted to give my sons and my daughters for Christmas. So that's all they were going to get for Christmas from me was their letter. And in exchange, I would give each family a $400 gift card. Well, you would have thought I was giving them $4,000 because at that time, these families were homeless or living in shelters, so $400 was an extraordinary amount for them. There was tears, there was gratitude, there was lots of happiness, and that exchange really fulfilled what we were trying to do. That Christmas morning, my kids, my wife, my daughters, they opened up these letters and they would pass them around, look what mine did, look what mine had to come up against. So that exchange was also very meaningful, very impactful. I then shared that with the rest of my immediate family. Now, I grew up the oldest of 10 children. My folks have 33 grandchildren, so that was a lot of sharing. That was the impetus for us to start our foundation. We wanted to take the little bit of money that we gave away and give it directly to people that needed it, rather than just writing checks and sending them off to somebody and not knowing exactly what happened to it. So that's how we got started.
I find that whole story very fascinating because you connected so many people, and from that one story that you shared, there's so many different perspectives. So if we can back up a little bit,
Sure.
What was the reaction of a family when you said, would you write about your struggles?
They were a little hesitant at first, and I told them that what I was trying to do was to show my children, again, who have no experience with their type of lifestyle, how other people lived. So they came around and said, sure, we'll write you a letter, no problem. And it was every member of the family. It would be the mother and several of the children or whoever.
They would all write letters?
They would all write letters, yes.
Oh, my
Yes.
goodness.
And then when I told them that I would give them a Christmas gift in exchange, they were thrilled, and we got letters that were pages and pages long. And for looking back, it became very cathartic. It was the first time that somebody really asked them about their life, that they mattered, that we wanted to find out how they lived.
That's huge.
It is.
And when you said that to me, I thought, you know what? we don't often ask.
Yeah.
We assume, maybe we don't want to know, but to be asked. What you did is let them know they matter.
Exactly.
Their story is important. Now, Christmas morning.
Yes.
That perspective, your daughters, your wife,
Yep.
Did they know they were getting this letter?
No, they did not.
Complete surprise.
And fortunately for us, there's nothing that we need, nothing that we want.
Right.
You know, so to get something that was trite or trivial was not what I was trying to do. So when they found this letter, they were befuddled a little.
What kind of emotions did these letters evoke?
Quite tearful.
Yeah, yeah. And from that exchange, that very personal connection, you formed this Rudden Family Foundation, which has, it seems from my perspective, grown exponentially in the last 5 years. Is that fair?
Very much so. I shared our experience with the rest of my family, and all of my siblings and all my nieces and nephews said, we want to do it too.
That's great.
So the following Christmas, we actually did over 20 families.
Oh my
The
goodness.
same type of exchange. We were written up in the local paper, and some people from the general public said, we want to do it too. We want to give this to my wife or to my son or to my daughter.
Yes.
So we have done that every Christmas since and have done hundreds of families now. What that forced us to do, though, was we needed a lot more families than just Family Promise could provide. So she introduced me to other charities in the area, like Mary's Shelter, like Child and Youth Services, like Catholic Charities. So I started becoming familiar with more and more of the people that help service people that are living in poverty.
And unlike a typical foundation, as it were, I mean, typically a foundation, you go to them and you say, I need money, and money is handed out.
Correct.
You're not doing that. And as you make the connections, are the letters still written?
They are. We have since expanded after doing this a couple of years and meeting maybe 10 or so different charities locally. I went to each one of them and I said, what else could we do for you other than give you money? And almost universally they said, we have people that want to donate furniture and clothing and other items to us, but we're social workers. We're not in warehousing or logistics. So naively, I said, let me take that on. Well, I think they set me up.
Really?
I started off with my little red pickup truck and my 2-car garage, and after about 3 weeks, my wife was ready to divorce me. So I had to get a storage unit. Then I got a warehouse, and then I got several trucks, and now we're to the point where it's remarkable, but we get 15 to 20 donations a week of clothing and furniture and appliances and dishes and curtains and rugs, just about everything. Unsolicited, strictly by word of mouth or strictly by our community partners sending people that know about them to us. We receive these donations in, and then we work with our partners to identify families or individuals in need, people that are coming out of a shelter, coming out of their programs. So they send us to clients. We then meet with the client, we go over what they need, and anything that's been donated to us, we basically give away. In addition, all of our clients still have to write us a letter. And in that letter, we tell them again, all the furniture we have just delivered to you has been donated to us. We want you to thank the donors. So the donors to us get a tax-deductible receipt for their donations of clothing or furniture. And several weeks later, they'll get a letter from someone who actually received that, thanking them for helping them.
This is such a beautiful, beautiful connection. So
Thank you.
If I go to the Rudden Family Foundation website,
Correct.
you can see the different ways you can donate there. You've
Yes.
the gift by gift program, which is
Correct.
what you talked about.
Yep, that's the first item where we actually give money directly from a donor directly to a recipient.
So in addition to the gift by gift program, which we
Yep.
can find online, are there other programs you've developed?
Yes, we have a program we call Wheels for Change, where we ask for donations of good running cars. The advantage to giving them to us is we can give a full fair market value to the donor as opposed to just getting a wholesale value from donating to another organization, because we're going to turn around and find a family right here in Reading that needs a car to get to work, to get to school, to take care of daycare, and we're going to give them that car.
So other than, I mean, there are people that take donated cars, but they sell them at auction, get the
Exactly.
money, and
Yep.
then it goes into the organization.
Exactly.
You're very personal connections here.
Very much so.
And because this functions quite differently than your traditional foundation concept, you're going to change things up a little bit in the branding.
Yes, we are. We're going to rebrand ourselves as the Rudden Family Services, provided by the Rudden Family Foundation, and that will more accurately describe what we're doing for the community.
It certainly does, and it's a service that's amazing and filled with love. So thanks for providing the opportunity for all of us to be part of the change as well here in Reading and Berks County.
Well, thank you, Joe. We appreciate the time.
Appreciate it.
Want to know more about who's doing what in Berks County? Check out the stories on thepeoplechronicles.com. These stories are made possible in part by Spring Ridge Financial, Heidelberg Restaurant, Queen City Restaurant, Greth Homes, and PJ Willahans.